The Chicago Cubs open up a three-game series set against the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have been scuffling as of late. The Chicago Cubs looking to go on another heater to solidify themselves at least as a wild card team at best. That's just not good enough for me. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and I have a lot to say about it, and I have a lot to say after this Detroit Tigers series. So yeah, you want to stay tuned for that. Plus, the Chicago Cubs are calling up James Triantos. It will make his MLB debut. We're gonna cover it all and then some right after this. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. Listen, I'm your host, Mike Jones. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe so that you never miss any of the content we have going right here on Chicago Cubs Central, guys. Please make sure that you also hit the notification bell so that you always get the notifications. Shout out to everybody on Spotify. Shout out to everybody on X. Shout out to everybody on Twitch. Shout out to everybody everywhere that's tuning into these episodes and enjoying Chicago Cubs Central. We try to bring you the very best damn episodes every single week about the Chicago Cubs, giving you a bit of a feel of, a real fan side of things, as well as giving you the facts also. So with that being said, y'all, listen, I'm gonna just be point blank honest with you guys. I am very upset with the Chicago Cubs after losing the Detroit Tigers series. And I guess it's a microcosm of you're too close to what is considered one of probably the biggest free agencies of the Jed Hoyer era of the Chicago Cubs. And, there are high expectations for this team. However, you are not showing and have not shown that you are prepared to go out and do what needs to be done to win the division. What I mean by that is you just dropped 2 games to the Detroit Tigers, one of those games being on national television. Now, clearly, it shows a clear need for pitching, obviously. Like I said, Colin Ray got banged up in that game. It is what it is. You saw it coming. Like I said, he is what he is. He's really a relief pitcher that you can stretch out. He should be a stretch relief pitcher, a middle relief guy for you, somebody that you can bring in if your starter doesn't go long. Or he can be a starter that will go maybe 1 or 2 innings for you. And then, like I said, and then you go to your bulk starter for the game. But he's not somebody that needs to be out here. The fact that you've gotten as many wins as you've gotten with Colin Ray pitching on your staff and as many holds as many times as he's just been able to hold serve and maybe not pick up the win, but also not give you a loss this season, and the fact that he's been healthy all season are both testaments to themselves. But then I look at the Chicago Cubs, I look at some of the decision making that they've made, and I say to myself, guys, you aren't playing to win all the time. That first game against the Detroit Tigers is literally the epitome of your season. So close, but no cigar. You had every opportunity to win that first game on Monday night against the Detroit Tigers, and you did not take it. You had your best base runner at third base. All you had to do, Seiya Suzuki, was get the ball in the air, and instead you end up popping out, in the infield. And then, of course, guys, then there's Alex Bregman, who comes up bags loaded and swings on a bad pitch, trying to protect. I hope at least trying to protect. But again, like I said, I don't have any more sympathy for this team. Maybe I might have some sympathy for Craig Counsell because he has been actually managing his ass off this year. He has actually done a phenomenal job. But this all begs to lead to the question of, should Jed Hoyer pillage the farm system to add starting pitching for the Chicago Cubs? And in my mind, in my eyesight, as much as I want to believe in this 2026 Chicago Cubs club, that they can go out there and they can go far. And again, we've seen the very best from this club. We've seen a club that has done amazing things, feats that we did not think we would see this year, including the 2 10-game win streaks. But we've also seen some very, very bad lows from this club. And for me, there was a point at this season where I was reporting to you guys that Jed Hoyer said he wasn't considering making the trade deadline the savior of this club. This team needs to flat out play better. And since then, they did respond and they have played better. But have they played good enough for Jed to really go all in? And I guess your question would be to me, well, Mike, what do you consider really going all in? I consider really going all in, going and getting a frontline starter, going and getting another starter on top of that. So that's 2 starting pitchers, plus going to get somebody that you can put into the bullpen, a solid arm that you can put into the bullpen, because I don't trust Phil Maton. I don't know what's going on with him. I've seen the stuff about his injuries. I've seen the stuff about what he has going on with him health wise, and I'm not sold on Phil Maton at all. In fact, I'm terrified every single time I watch Phil Maton run from the bullpen out to the mound, because in my eyesight, he is one injury away from falling over completely, or on top of that, maybe just, like I said, just going out there and giving up the home run ball, throwing meatballs in the middle of the plate. I mean, I said on the episode with Setup Man Ty, his dude is pitched like dog shit all season long, and I don't take that back. And if he's honest with you and with himself, he will also admit he has pitched like complete dog shit all season long. And again, for me, I look at this and I say to myself, yes, I want the Chicago Cubs to add more. Absolutely. But I don't want it to come at the cost of you adding this pitching, especially rentals. And then you turn around and you find yourself in a terrible position come next year where you pillaged your farm system and you have nothing in your farm system because you went all out for a team that just simply didn't have it offensively and didn't have it pitching wise. I mean, and again, some of that is on Craig Counsell, but you also are going to have you also have some money come off the books come this next off season. And if there is a season next year, the Chicago Cubs do have a very, very good opportunity to land not only pitching, but also to land some big bats that hopefully can produce. And no, I'm not talking about the big bats like Alex Bregman, because Alex Bregman has fucking been terrible also. That's another story for another day. But to me, in my mind and in my eyes, guys, as bad as I want the Chicago Cubs to do what they do and to beat the Brewers and to beat Philly and to compete with the Dodgers and hopefully beat the Dodgers, there also has to come a time, guys, where we have to be realistic with ourselves. And again, at the end of the day, you got to roll the ball out there and play the game. But at the end of the day, you also got to remember, in the postseason, that's where talent really shines. And for what it's worth, I'm not buying the Chicago Cubs talent enough where I'm willing to go pillage my farm system, to go get somebody like Tyreek Skubal. Tyreek Skubal should be reserved for a team that is one good frontline ace away from beating the Dodgers. Tyreek Skubal should be reserved for a team that is very, very close, if not knocking on the doorstep of a World Series, and he's going to put you over the mountain. If I'm the Phillies, I'm absolutely calling Detroit. If I'm the Brewers, I'm absolutely calling Detroit. But if you're the Chicago Cubs, why would you have that conversation when you can't even get consistent hitting? You're going to have to go into the postseason limping, praying that you get a decent Nico Horner, a sub-decent Dansby Swanson, and PCA is going to have to play amazing in order for you just to have a shot to win the wild card. That's not even talking about a division series. I don't see that the Cubs are there where it makes sense to do that. The Chicago Cubs have multiple holes that they need filled. And again, this Tiger series just really opened it up for me. And the rumor out there right now is that the Chicago Cubs are going to add a solid piece to the rotation. They are. They already probably have the deal framework worked out. Those phone calls have been made. Something will be done closer to date. So my sources are telling me that the trade is pretty much already set up. And like I said, I mean, whoever that may be, we'll see. Is it Detmers from the Angels? Potentially. Is it Clay Holmes? Potentially. We'll see. But whoever that deal is, it's not somebody that's going to blow you away, but it's somebody that's going to be solid. Which means you're then going to have to go back to, depending on Matthew Boyd, depending on depending on Shota Imanaga, depending on, like I said, praying to God that Edward Cabrera comes back and is able to pitch well for you, and then just see how things go from there. But the Chicago Cubs find themselves in a very peculiar position, and Jed finds himself in the same exact position that he was in last year. And again, I just don't know how we stop this cycle of, the Chicago Cubs just losing to teams that they're supposed to beat. Like, I get losing a game. I cannot deal with losing a series to the Detroit Tigers. I cannot deal with that. That sits bad in my stomach. It makes my ass itch, to be quite frank with you, because that's a series you got to take. You got to take that series. You got to keep yourself lock and step with the Brewers. And the Chicago Cubs just are not doing that right now. And it sucks. It sucks. But I want to know from you, would you pillage the farm system to add pitching in this offseason? I'm sorry, not in this offseason, at this trade deadline. What are you willing to give up? Who are you trying to trade for? Let me know in the comments section below. Get involved, guys. And then last but not least on this episode, guys, we got to talk about it. James Triantos getting the call up to the majors. Congratulations to the 23-year-old who was slashing 306, 344, and 440 with the AAA Iowa this season. He is the number 13 prospect in the organization for the Chicago Cubs. He will get his start. Poor Kevin Alcantara, who is getting sent back down again, but Kevin Alcantara just looks like a AAA player at best, not necessarily a major leaguer. And so, like I said, it's just one of those things that he is, he's just not cutting it in the major league realm. So unfortunately, maybe he can get that move with somebody else. Maybe there's another organization that want to come out there and give him a shot every day to show and prove that he can do it. Or maybe he just might be AAA at best with maybe a call up to a bad team. I mean, that could also be the case too. But happy so much for James Triantos. Feels like this is somebody who has been talked about for a while, but also has been constantly blocked. Like I said, so we'll just have to see what happens. He's an infielder. And like I said, he does bring a lot to the table. One of the best things that he does is he is a contact hitter. He was one of the best contact hitters in the majors. In the minors last season. And again, he is somebody that is capable of being a good defender at multiple positions, and he has 18 stolen bases. Again, he's not ready necessarily to plug into the everyday roster yet. He is somebody that's probably being called up more as a depth piece. We'll get a couple at bats. Maybe get to play a couple days, but again, he is making his debut into the majors. But we'll see what happens. He's been on the heater for the last 2 months in AAA. He started the season struggling, and again, he's somebody that's high contact, somebody that is going to bring in a lot of energy to the club, and somebody that can play multiple positions in the infield. So we'll just have to see what happens, man. But excited for James Triantos. We'll probably see him in this Pirates series from PNC Park. These games start today. 5:45 start time, first pitch for the Cubs versus Pirates. So the Cubs need to take 2 out of 3 of these Pirates games. You're going to face Skeens in the middle. That is what it is, even though the Cubs tend to knock Skeens around pretty well. But again, I'm not counting on that. The Cubs have to continue to add on. You should at least have 59 wins by the time this series is over. You're 57 and 45 right now. You're going to see Matthew Boyd up against Jared Jones in the first game, and then after that, you'll see Paul Skeens go up against Shota Imanaga on Saturday, and then on your Sunday matchup, you are going to have Jamison Tyone go up against Ashcraft. Gonna be a tough series. Like I said, it's gonna be tough to beat Ashcraft and Skeens back to back. So we'll just have to see what happens with that. But then after that, you go to face the Cardinals 4 times in St. Louis on next week. So those games will also be interesting to see. Hopefully the Chicago Cubs can get the victories there too. But listen, man, that's my time. I appreciate each and every last one of you guys for tuning in. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe so that you never miss an episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one stop for all things Chicago Cubs. Until next time, go Cubs, go.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the number one spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.